with Scott. It's ASMR time. It's midnight. It's always midnight. And we're reading with Ruby again. Ruby's really getting her snore on. I did just record this straight after I cut the last session, so I'm still tired. And if you were with me on the last session, then you'll know that I'm being annoyed by my puffy eye, which I'm not drawing attention to on the internet. So. We're in Whisper Town, which ironically I'm reading in my normal voice, because I know there's some other whispering storytellers out there, and they really kick ass. So I'm not going to try and do what I've seen done so magnificently by other people. I'm just going to do this slightly differently. And if you remember from the last episode, so I've forgotten his bloody name now, which is strange because they repeat. Judson Phillips had repeated it so many times. Sayer was a bit worried because he'd run someone off the road in a drunken stupor, which he'd quickly recovered from, to enter another bar and lay low, I assume. And Timothy, who's like an Irish-American guy, yeah, we're a hamburger, like Timothy, that guy. Timothy's phone's just rung, so Timothy answered. Yeah? Little pause, because it indicated by the dots. Where? Take me 10 minutes. Timothy turned. Sorry, Judge. You and your folks in the booth gotta close up. I'm the third string ambulance driver. The other two guys are both at the carnival in left row. Been an accident on Cobb's Hill. That's a twist of fate, isn't it? Because Sayer is the one that caused the accident, and now he's been thrown out of the only bar in town that's still open. And the barman was complaining that he hadn't got enough customers, but he's throwing them out too, as he's the third string ambulance driver. Bloke who runs a bar. He's a third string ambulance driver, and the other two guys are both at the carnival in Lathrop. I don't know how to pronounce it. Lathrop. There's been an accident on Cobb's Hill. All clear when I came through a little while ago, Sayer said, staring into his old-fashioned glass. So he's even trying to throw them off the scent there. Since he was kicking out his customers, Timothy announced that everything was on the house. He doesn't want to make money, does he? He called into the back room. Not that he should want to make money, you know. Money's not the be-all and end-all of anything. But if you're running a bar in a book, then your raison d'etre, whilst also being to drive the plot along, and as a person for the main character to sort of talk to fill out some pages and go over the plot, then yeah, also you want to make some money, I suppose, but not Timothy. I've lost where I am. He was kicking out his customers, and he noticed everything was on the house. He called into the back room for Mrs. Timothy. Don't even bother to give them surnames, mate. Just he called into the back room for Mrs. Timothy to do the closing up. So she could have just stayed and run the bar, to be fair, couldn't she? And ran back out onto the street and toward the firehouse where the ambulance was garaged. Sayer finished his drink. We don't say garaged in the UK either. Sayer finished his drink, bowed to Mrs. Timothy, who appeared hastily from the back room, and walked out onto the street. And Mrs. Timothy doesn't get a description either, so you just have to. What kind of a woman would Timothy marry? or maybe she's not married to Timothy, maybe she is Mrs. Timothy, and Timothy's just going out with her. And by a twist of fate, he's called Timothy and she's Mrs. Timothy. And if you remember, our main guy Sayer had double vision, so there's no double vision now, unless you could call the memory of that careening tail light double vision. He was still sweating, but he felt cold. That'll be the sweat evaporating from him. A teeth chattering cold. That again, if he was, because he was drenched in sweat before, so that will, imagine being drenched. You're going to feel cold. So that Sayer wanted to get away, go home, go anywhere. But it would seem unnatural for him not to follow Timothy and the ambulance out to Cobbs Hill. Since he'd heard of the accident, it would seem odd if he didn't. Timothy would remember. There mustn't be anything unusual about his behaviour, other than being drenched in sweat and drunk. All of Sayer's 64 years seemed to weigh him down as he climbed into the Buick. The ambulance swept past, red eye winking on its roof. Its siren warming to the task. No comment on that. Its siren warming to the task. Sayer started the Buick, turned the heavy wheel for a U-turn, and set out in slow pursuit. At the top of the descent down Cobbs Hill, you can snore it. She's doing the twitching now. Ruby Cam's getting that. She's in a deep dream. She's probably having a nightmare about the fact that Judson Phillips has he's written at the top of the descent down Cobbs Hill. But descent means to go down, doesn't it? So you don't descend down the stairs. You either descend the stairs or you go down the stairs. But Sayer is having a descent down Cobbs Hill. Maybe you can say it. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm quite tired. Just looks a bit wrong to me on the page, and Ruby wasn't feeling it. At the top of the descent down Cobbs Hill, the sky was bright with the flickering of flames. Sayer could see half a dozen sets of headlights by the side of the road as the blinking red eye of the ambulance stopped in the conclave of cars. Slowly, Sayer eased down toward the scene of the accident. He stopped the Buick about 30 yards from the others. The damaged car was a burning skeleton, being attacked ineffectually by someone with a fire extinguisher. A voice shouted at Sayer, "You can't stop that there. Keep moving." I have to guess these voices before I find out who they are. It was young Gavigan, the state trooper on patrol duty. He came forward angrily as Sayer ignored the order, and then he saw the heavy fat man crawl out of his car and start shambling towards him. "Oh, it's you, Judge." "Hi, Pete. What's happened?" Sayer asked. "Pretty bad," Gavigan said. He was used to slaughter on the highways, but his face was pale. "4 kids from the high school. 2 couples. 3 of them burned up in the car. Never had a chance. The 4th was thrown clear. Sharon Jaeger. You know her, don't you, Judge?" Sayer licked dry lips. "Yeah, Ed Jaeger's daughter. Bad hurt?" "Not burned, anyway," Gavigan said. "But unconscious. Doc Patton's on his way." Sayer's fucked up here, isn't he? Sayer reached out for one of the fence posts to steady himself. "That quack," he said. There was a pungent, unpleasant smell in the air he could not identify. Timothy came running up. He looked like a clown, his face painted white. "Can we get out of here, Pete?" So that's Ruby Cam. Let's go and just reset that. I'll try and remember what Timothy speaks like. The battery is low on Ruby Cam, so just have to see how that goes. I'll have to go changing batteries. Anyway, so Doc Patton was on his way. "Can we get out of here, Pete? God almighty, we can't just leave her laying there." "Patton ought to be around any second," Gavigan said.
I talked to him direct on the phone from across the street there. He said not to move her.
A car came racing up from the bottom of the hill. I'm doing bottom of the hill.
A car came racing up from the bottom of the hill and screeched to a stop. A sandy-haired man with gold-rimmed spectacles carrying a black bag came running towards Gavigan.
Oh God. We're just going to go a bit freestyle with the voices for a little bit, okay? Where are they? Dr. David Patton asked.
3 of them are ashes, Gavigan said. The others over there on the grass.
Dr. Patton started forward, but his way was blocked by the mountainous figure of Sarah Woodling.
You son of a bitch,
he said to the doctor in a low and steady voice.
You son of a bitch,
he said to the doctor in a...
This is rude.
In a... Ooh. He said a low and steady voice. Patton stared at him, blinking. Okay, I've got Judson here. You don't stare at someone blinking. It depends. Patton stared at him blinking. It could be that Sayer was blinking and Patton stared at the blinking, but you can't stare at someone blinking, can you? Right, you're blinking at them or you're staring at them. That's going to get me all confused. But Patton did stare at him blinking. And then he called him a no-good SOB, which I'm not going to repeat. The doctor turned to Gavigan, and his own voice was unsteady with anger. Get this drunken louse. Oh, how's he going to speak now? There's too many people.
Get this drunken louse out from my way,
he said grimly. He started toward the still form of Sharon Jaeger.
Easy, Judge,
Gavigan said. His fingers closed firmly on Sayer's arm.
I know how you feel, Judge, but the man's got a job to do. Do you, Pete? Do you know how I feel?
Sayer asked, in a ragged voice.
Sure, Judge, sure. Now look, you just took on a few belts tonight, huh? Now you just sit down over there on the bank, and when this is all cleared up, I'll find someone to drive you home.
I can manage, thank you, Peter. Sayer's voice had quietened, but he was still breathing hard. And little Pukkos over there.
Wouldn't want you picked up with a few under your belt, Judge. There's troopers from Woodbridge and Lothrop and other places combing the roads for that guy. Everyone's pretty hot under the collar. They might not treat you as easy, Judge.
Combing the roads for what guy? Sayer asked.
The one who forced him off the road, Gavigan said.
How do you know he was forced off the road?
The Jaeger girl was conscious when I got here, Gavigan said. She told me a car headed right for them. Turned off too late. Never stopped. Just went on and let them die. The others?
Bastard ought to be hung, Sayer said.
Too good for him, Gavigan said. Now you sit down there on the bank, Judge, and I'll get someone to pilot you home when this is over.
Thanks, Peter, Sayer said. Especially like an ASMR video where I'm quietly reading in my delicate, deep voice. Not where I shout at you in imperfect, badly practiced American tones. Got the crickets in the background, and this is your right ear, and this is your left ear. Which is a really late sound check. So, Sayer's trying to throw him off the scent anyway. He sat down on the bank in the light of the dying flames. He saw Doc Patton kneeling by the Jaeger girl. He saw the signal to Timothy and someone else to bring the stretcher. He saw the girl carried toward the ambulance with Patton walking behind her. Patton wasn't answering questions about her chances. He just shrugged when he was asked. Sayer frowned, trying to identify the odd smell in the air. Then he realised what it was. It was the smell of burning flesh, of 3 high school youngsters. That's pretty horrible. Sayer lowered his head between his knees and retched. So that's second instalment, and that's chapter 2 done. And so far, it's pretty grim. Whisper Town. Pretty grim. Please come back next week for more Whisper Town, where Sarah Woodling will be most likely trying to cover his tracks, and we'll be finding out more about the Jaeger girl, who seems to be a bit of a player in Judson Phillips' imaginary tale, which does have a disclaimer at the start, like I explained in the first episode of Whisper Town. The characters, places, incidents and situations in this book are imaginary and have no relation to any person, place or actual happening. So don't worry. Sarah Woodling is not really in control of any cars and hasn't killed anyone in real life. And it's not even based on anyone who has done that. It's just a creation from Judson Phillips' imagination. A creation that he thought necessary to pen in this volume. Whisper Town. Which was only one of the volumes that Judson Phillips was responsible for. He also wrote Killer on the Catwalk, 14th Trump, Odds on the Hot Seat, and Murder in Marble. So if you're interested in Judson Phillips' work, keep an eye on me, because I'll be reading it until I get to the end of this this book. And like I said in episode 1, I didn't choose Whisper Town for any reason other than it was called Whisper Town, and I got it from a second-hand book place, a charity book thing. So I paid 50. There's the Ruby Cam gone again, so it's just me to finish. I paid 50p for Whisper Town, and quite pleased I did, really. It might work out okay, mightn't it? I've only done the first couple of chapters, so who knows what's coming in the rest of this volume. This interesting book that I now own, and I'm sharing with you. And of course, if there's any copyright issues, if anyone from Dodd, Mead and Company in New York have any problems with me reading Whisper Town on the internet on my little ASMR channel, then I'll take the videos down of Whisper Town. So I was quite enjoying it until we had that vision of those people in the car, to be honest. I didn't like that. So maybe it'll perk up. Maybe Whisper Town will take us some nicer places. Because that's where I like to go, nicer places. If you're watching in the future, you might want to stick to my whispering content for the relaxing and calming stuff. Like maybe check out my video for the Crystal Palace of Colours or something, rather than Whisper Town, because Whisper Town might get a bit dark. I think. I'm not going to read ahead, so I'm just going to take it as it comes. But yeah, I'm going to check back in with Whisper Town in a few days or so. Touch my nose, that might mean I might record another one right now, like I did last time, so you never know. But actually that touching nose just meant that it was a bit itchy for the duration of this recording, and when it came to the end I felt like, I can't stand it anymore, so I just wanted to, so that's why it was. It wasn't what I was like. So. If you've got any requests, tell the DJ. And please support my road trip, which I'm not going to say on video because I'll just confuse it. So I might be able to use Whisper Tone in the future. Whisper Tone. Whisper Tone. So there you go. Be good, my little Pukkos. Bad session, not bad. You're correct. Whisper Tone.